The goal of any firm is to maximize profits. Profits are somewhat misunderstood. Most people think profits are just simply how much money a firm makes. But profits are much more than that. Profit is equal to the total revenue of a firm minus its total costs. Total revenue is indeed the money the firm brings in, but a firm that makes lots and lots of money can easily be unprofitable if their costs are out of control. And if you don't pay attention to costs as someone running a business, you're going to be in big trouble. There are all kinds of different costs when it comes to running a business, and they apply to different kinds of inputs, different kinds of resources that you need to acquire to make the stuff you want to make. Total cost is simply the sum of all the costs that a firm has, but total cost can be broken down into different components. For example, total cost is made up of fixed costs, which are the costs for your fixed inputs, the ones you can't change, and variable costs, which are the costs that will apply to inputs that you can change. You can change the amount of. We can also find the averages of these costs by taking the amount, say average total cost would be the total cost divided by the amount of output, or TC for total cost divided by Q. We use that average total cost to identify in a graph how much profit a firm is making, and we'll take a look at that at some point. But decisions are typically made not so much on total cost, not so much on fixed cost or variable costs, but on what we refer to as marginal costs. Marginal costs are the additional costs that a firm incurs when they increase their output. So if we want to increase the number of iPhones that we produce by one, what is the additional cost of doing that? That is the marginal cost, and firms pay very, very close attention to marginal costs. Marginal costs, as they relate to price, can help a firm decide whether to increase or decrease output. Specifically, if the price a firm can charge for their product is greater than the marginal cost of production, then it would make sense for the firm to increase their production, because the price that they receive more than covers the cost of making the good. On the other hand, if the price that a firm receives is less than the marginal cost, then it would make sense for the firm not only to stop producing that one unit, but also it might make a lot of sense to produce fewer units in general, because the money that you're receiving is not enough to cover your costs, to pay the costs of the inputs. So when you pay attention to marginal costs, it can help you to determine whether you should increase or decrease output. Additionally, for a firm that's interested in maximizing their profits, they want to pay attention to marginal cost, because that marginal cost number can help them to find the output that will help them to maximize the all-important profit. If a firm produces where its marginal costs, the additional costs of producing, are equal to its marginal revenue, the additional revenue that a firm receives from selling a product, that output level will correspond to what we call the profit maximizing output level for the firm. For the firm interested in making a profit, this is a very important thing. One final point about marginal cost, and that is that marginal cost needs to be covered as far as production is concerned. But a firm can stay in business even if they're not paying their average total costs. As long as the price is greater than the additional cost, there might be a short period of time where the firm can incur losses, as indicated by the relationship of price to average total cost. So in this graph, what we see is that price is below average total cost, meaning that the costs for production are greater than the price, and so there are losses. But price is above marginal cost, and so it makes sense for the firm to continue to produce at least for a short period of time. This is something in the short run that is referred to as the shutdown decision. Should you shut down or should you not? A firm can stay in business if it can pay the marginal cost of production, even if it can't cover the average total cost. So they should stay in business at least for a little while. But if the firm can't pay its marginal costs, then they need to go out of business in the short run.